Good morning. Grandma Lois back on the scene, feeling good. Anyway, my cat's feeling better, Miss Bella, but she's still not completely well, but she's doing okay. This morning, this is a good verse for all of us to remember. So do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. That's such a good one, and I like it because I am kind of dismayed at times, but we don't need to be dismayed because the Lord's going to help us. You know, the other day, it was all over the news about all these children that go missing every year, and there's so many of them, and I turned over to TikTok, and they told a lot about it, how so many kids go missing from different places. And it reminded me of the time when I was a young girl, about 14 years old. My dad he would go to auctions and he would buy like a bushel basket full of books. And I would read them. I read all about Byron because he got the works of Byron, which I didn't understand, but I just read it. And he got another one that I had never heard tell of it, and it's all about white slavery. Well, I didn't know what white slavery was. Do you all know what white slavery is? It's when they steal these children and girls to put them into sex slavery. And it told all about it in this book. Now, that was like back in 19, I was 14, so I was probably about 1948 or 47 or 48 when I read that book, all about it. And I never told Dad or Mom about it because I don't think they wanted me reading anything about sex. But it told how that they steal these girls, they pick them up hitchhiking, they get off of a bus, they've come in from the country and they're looking for a job, or they get off the train, or just wherever they can find a girl or a boy. They steal both. And they want to use them, and they'll sell them, or they will use them. They'll take them to a place, a house, but they promise you stuff. And I read all that, and I thought, that goes on in the world? That's the craziest thing I ever heard. Stealing girls and boys for sexual purposes? I didn't really know what they were talking about. But as I got a little older, by the time I was 16 and got married, I knew what it meant. That they put them in prostitution, and they keep them in homes, and they cannot get away. And sometimes they put them on sedatives like drugs to keep them sedated, and men can use them, especially if it's a young virgin. They go for a higher price, it said in this book. I thought, my goodness. So when I got married and Buddy decided to join the Navy, he joined the Navy and was in California, and he came home a couple of times. He kept going, like I said, absent without leave, which is called AWOL. So I quit my job down at the Bobolink, little restaurant that I practically run by myself with the help of the little owner. He was a little guy that taught me some new words. He was very educated, and his daddy was very rich. So I learned a lot of stuff working at the Bobolink. I increased my vocabulary. So anyway, so Buddy had went to Great Lakes finally, and he was in the brig up there for 6 months. Finally, he had to serve 6 months. So I quit my job, caught me a bus, and went to Chicago because I was going to Great Lakes and help him stay in the service. That was my idea. I packed one suitcase. I put my little high heel shoes about this high. I put a little hat. You ought to see that little hat. It had a little veil right here and fit right here like a little pillbox. Cute as it could be. and my one suit that my aunt had given me, which looked a whole lot like Kamala Harris's suit, that she don't wear nothing but suits. She wears a different color suit all the time. My suit happened to be dark green, and it was very becoming. It had long sleeves, and I had a blouse and a nice skirt, and it was like a pencil skirt. And of course, Kamala wears slacks, but I had a skirt, and I just looked cute as a button when I put it on. So I took that with me, and I put in a couple of everyday dresses and underclothes, and that's all I took with me when I left. So when I got off the bus in Chicago, this wonderful looking couple came up as I was looking around, wondering what do I do now? I don't know. I mean, I was a pretty little girl at that time, and this handsome man and sophisticated looking woman came up and said, "Oh, hello, you just got in town?" I said, "Yes." They said, "Well, do you have a place to stay?" And I said, "No, not yet, but I'm going to find a place." They said, "Well, look, we try to help people, and we have a spare room, and if you want to come and stay with us till you can find a job, we'd be glad to help you. You could pay us back, but it wouldn't be no charge after you get a job, and you could stay as long as you needed." And I said, "Oh, dear Jesus." And I was a good Christian at this time. And I remembered that book I had read about white slavery and how people meet them at the bus. And I thought, oh my, they are white slavers. They want to take me and put me in a room and sell me for sex. So I stayed calm, honestly. And I said, "No, thank you. I believe I'll go over there where it says help for people that need a place to stay." And it was set up by the bus company. And I walked off and left them. And they went someplace else. I don't know where they went. But I went over there, and it was like Traveler's Aid or something like that name. And I told them, I said, "I just got in town, and I need a place to stay. Where would be a safe place to stay?" They said, "We can help you. There's a young women's, like the YMCA, except it's a Young Women's CA Christian Association. And it's a big place, and they have rooms for people like you that have come into town and need to stay for a little bit, and it don't cost anything." And so I went next door. I mean, it was just around the corner, and I was on the 17th floor. They sent me right on up, and I went right on to that that Young Christians Women's Association building. And I had a roommate, and she was a Jewish girl. And there it was New Year's Eve. Can you believe I ran away from New Albany, Indiana on New Year's? And they were getting ready to have a big celebration in Chicago. So we could look out the window and see everything going on. It was very exciting. And we just made instant friends, me and that Jewish young woman. And so we watched everything going on from the 17th floor, all the streets and all the celebration. I mean, it was right downtown Chicago, right by the big old bus station. And that was exciting. And I was safe. I was young and silly, but the Lord went before me and made the crooked places straight so many times when I really did not know what I was doing. But can you imagine how the Lord let me read that book when I had no idea it would ever be of use to me? And now young people are still being swept off the streets and at bus stations and trains. And I read and I saw on the internet that they had a big sweep. The marshals had a big sweep to find. "We will find you," they said. And they have found 200 missing kids, young people, boys and girls, and restored them back to their families and to their homes, because they run away. And if these people capture them and put them into sex slavery, they can't get away because they keep them absolutely locked down. And it's hopeless. But these marshals would find out where they were, and they would get them and put them back where they went. And you can see a lot of that on the internet. And I checked in on TikTok, and they told a lot about it. And so you can really find out a lot about it, but it's still going on. And there's still hundreds, thousands of kids missing. In 1922, I wrote down how many was missing. It was like 22,000 or something. I wrote it down somewhere because I was doing some research on it. And they get them in Disney World when a kid gets missing from its parents. And one time, many years ago, we had a wonderful big mall up at Jeffersonville, Clarksville, Indiana. It had 2 floors. And when my kids came in from New Jersey, and Sarah Beth was just a little 2.5, 3-year-old, and she was with us. And they have J.C. Penney's at one end and Sears on the other. And so we was walking down the walkway to go to the other store, which was on the other end. And I thought Kathy had Rachel, and she thought I had Rachel. Neither one of us had Rachel. Rachel had wandered off on her own somehow or other. Talk about a grandma and a mother screaming, "Rachel, Rachel, have you seen my little girl?" We was running everywhere. So we ran into Penny's, the last place we had been, and has anybody seen a little girl wandering around by herself? And somebody said, yes, she's in the office wondering where her mommy is. And somebody had captured her and turned her into the office. We nearly had a heart attack when she was missing, because even back then, and that's been, Sarah Beth is now like 42 years old. That's been 40 years ago. And they were stealing kids then, and they've been stealing them since time began. And a lot of those kids that have come across the border are missing and not with their families anymore. And it just touches my heart, that they would take little kids away from their parents, and the parents can't find them. We couldn't hardly find Rachel right there in that big old mall. And somebody had took her to the office, and boy, we were so relieved, and that really happened. And so I'm glad I learned that the Lord took care of little Rachel, and she's living in New Jersey, and she's the one that works for the hearing aid people, Hearing Life, that I got my hearing aids at such a good price, and it's so nice to hear good, so I'm just enjoying. Have you heard about the news just came up that the astronauts might not be able to come back with the way things are now? They've got to do a lot of stuff, that their space suits won't fit into the capsule that if they put them on to come back. So now I'm watching all that. Y'all watch with me. I just stay interested in life. Even if I am going to be 91 in September next month, I don't think they're going to give me a 91st birthday party this year. But my 90th birthday party was such a wonderful thing, and I just had such a good time at it. But they don't do it for 91, I don't think. That's okay. Me and James will celebrate. Now, my sweet darling husband. He goes to the fair. They're having the fair over in Kentucky, Louisville, Kentucky, right across the river. So he called up 967 Andy, who stood up with us at our wedding and helps me with my iPad and my YouTube. And right now, excuse me, my nose is itching, and I need my coffee. Where's my coffee? Aha, right here. Anyway, the fair is going on, and I used to go to it, but I tell you what, I can't take all that walking anymore, and I've seen it many times. And I told James, I said, no thanks, find someone else. So he called up Andy, and Andy is going with him. Andy's got some really interesting things on real estate on his YouTube channel now, as well as fishing, and I don't know what all, cooking. He does all kinds of stuff that I don't do. But I told him, I said, Andy, you know what? You need to help me. I get off track sometimes, but I'll tell you this. I'm supposed to have, last month they kept saying, so if you make over $100, which it's not a lot, but I like it because I like to go out and eat with that extra money. Fun. I don't have to cook. Well, James pays for our food, but I don't know. I like to treat. So I was supposed to get like $103, and if you get over $100, they're supposed to put it in your bank account. Well, it didn't happen. So now they're saying it's, well, I think it said $143 or something, and they're going to send it to me this month. And so when James was talking to Andy, I said, Andy, you're going to have to figure out what's going on again. They didn't send it last month. They didn't put it in my account. He said, I will take care of it when I get back from, him and his wife just got back from a long vacation. They went to Hawaii. They went on a cruise. They had a wonderful time, took a lot of beautiful pictures, which they sent us. Now, where was I? Oh, yeah, they're at the fair. And I want to tell you what James goes to see mostly, the mules. He loves to look at the mules. And they are so different from a horse. If you've ever looked at a mule, and you know a mule is, they don't breed. You breed a horse and a donkey. That's how you get a mule, I believe. You can double check that. Google knows it all. So they can't have babies. They're barren. And so anyway, he goes to see the mules. They're usually taller and more, and they say mules are so stubborn. That's where this saying came from. You're stubborn as a mule. That's an old saying. And I've heard the saying one time, the only way I could get my mule to do anything is I had to hit him upside the head with a 2x4. Now, I don't think they really did that too hard, but they say mules have a mind of their own, just like Grandma Lois. You know, I married James, and he's a little bossy. He's a whole lot bossy. And I've always been the boss. I'm the oldest of 9 kids, and I've never had a problem bossing number 1 and number 2 husband. They were, I knew what was best. I saved the money. I took care of things. And then I married this number 3. And if I needed some roofing on to help our roof here where we moved, I could go up there and patch it, do whatever I needed to do. If I needed something nailed to the wall, I could do it. If I needed anything done, I did it. Number 1 and number 2 didn't do that kind of stuff. And if I couldn't do it, I hired it done from somebody else. That's the truth. When I wanted a garage and I was married to number 2, I can't build a garage on my own. So I got me a garage because I didn't want to live in his house out in the country. He had a house 12 miles out in the country, and I'm not about to stay there. So I told him, you either live with me or I don't think we'll get married. He said, I'll live with you. So I knew how he liked to tinker all the time. So I just ordered a 2-car garage. I had money saved. I saved money. And I had me a 2-car garage with an upstairs built right here at my place. And the upstairs, back then I was painting a lot of pictures and I was selling them. And I was going to make that into a studio where I could paint and sell my paintings. You know what? I got bored with it. I said, nah, I'm going to do something else. So I did something else. I started grooming and I've just always stayed busy. But I built that garage, and so number 2 loved to work on bicycles because when he would be out at his house, he had 3 acres and he had to mow it once a week in the summertime. And he was so tight. So I would go out with him and I'd spend the day and we'd have lunch out and I'd sit and read or do something because he kept that house spotless. Spotless. Not like me. I keep my house clean, but I'm messy and I set things around everywhere. I always have. I used to have a maid, my sister-in-law, and she'd come straighten up things every week. And don't you know, I had these new hats I bought the other day, and I was going to get the one to show to you. So hang on, I'm going to get it. I'll be right back. It's right over there on the table, and it's so pretty. I did a TikTok thing or something with it the other day. I got 3 in all, and one of them is really pretty. So I'm going to get it out here and show it to you. Are y'all still there? Okay, I'm coming back. Now look at this. I put this on TikTok. Now this was $2. I bought 3 of these pretty hats. This is the one that went to the Derby. See that? Now, is that gorgeous? Look at there. Oh, and there comes Big Tom. Anyway, it may not go with this outfit too bad, too good. But it is a beautiful hat. And I like to wear hats, like I did to California when I went out. And then when I got to California to try to keep him in the Navy, because he couldn't come home, and I stayed. And I just went out to the base, and they got me a house and all kinds of stuff. I tell you what, the Bible says you have not because you ask not, or you ask amiss. Well, you ask, that's for sure, because there's usually 2 answers, or 3. Not now, later, no, yes. I mean, you ask and see what happens. And God says yes a lot of times and works it out for you. So anyhow, I'm going to shut up. Y'all are probably bored to death. I hope not. I've enjoyed it, that's for sure. So I'm back, and I'll talk to you later. Y'all walk that path now where Jesus would be pleased with you. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? And it went to the Derby. I don't intend to go to the Derby, but if I did, that is a good hat. Big Tom is over there playing with one of my hats. He's on the table. Let me see if I can show you that. Can you see that? Here. Where's he at? This iPad. Oh, there he is. And there's the hat he's playing with. And now he's going to visit with you. He's looking in the iPad. So Bella didn't come talk to me this morning or talk to us, but I'm gonna shut up. Bye-bye. I love you.